What is integrative nutrition and does it work? Watch this video to the end to find out the answer. Thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this video. My name is Mike Vini, and on this channel you will find peace of mind through original mental wellness tips, proven diversity and inclusion strategies, and so much more. If you are new, welcome. I invite you to click that subscribe button and that little alert bell so you can be the first to know when a new video comes out. Coming up shortly, you are going to get to watch an interview between Jane Dye and myself. Jane is a health coach, and I reached out to her to help me help you with your health. The popular topic of 2020 was your health, and I want you to start this year getting healthy so you can be the best version of yourself and prevent sickness. When I talk about mental health, which I usually talk about, I don't say this enough and I should say it more. Mental health is a component of overall health. So it's really important to just focus on health in your life. Jane and I met years ago in a previous lifetime. I was a drummer and drum teacher full-time, and I had the honor of teaching her son, Connor, drum lessons. I really miss those days. So I reached out to her and we got on Zoom, and here is our interview. Hi, Jane. Welcome.
Hi, Mike. It's great to be here.
Thank you. You and I are going to have a real conversation because it's the new year and everyone wants to get healthy. I want to get healthy. And I think that's true every year, right? Everyone wants to get healthy in the new year with resolutions and stuff. But I realized that 2021, more than ever before, we really need to focus on health for some obvious reasons. If you don't know what happened in 2020, look it up online. And so I wanted to start with nutrition and food because for me personally, that's a real challenge. And I've learned from looking at your website that you specialize in a thing or work with a process called integrative nutrition, which I've heard about. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So, the practice of integrated nutrition is a holistic approach to wellness, recognizing that the foundation for optimal health and healing is beginning with a health promoting diet. So, an integrative health coaching is a process of partnering with and guiding a client through overall lifestyle changes with a focus on nutrition and lifestyle to promote health and overall well-being.
I love that. So you're looking at the whole person, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's what holistic is. We connect the dots between who you are and where you want to be, and look at how all the things that influence that and how they interrelate.
I like this because if people watching are like me, we go online and Google nutrition things, and Google gives you the answer to everything, how to lose weight, diets to lose weight, and things like that. But you're talking about lifestyle. Where do you start with a client when you work with them when it comes to this integrative nutrition?
Well, first of all, the way it works is that a client really needs to be committed to change and is willing to show up to do the work. So it's easy to overlook all of the things that contribute to our sense of nourishment and fulfillment. And so it's not just what food we eat, as you suggested, that affects our health, but all the other factors present in our daily lives. So healthy relationships, a fully fulfilling career or work that's satisfying and enjoyable, regular physical activity, and a spiritual awareness, they're all essential forms of nourishment. And when they're balanced, what you eat can become secondary. So you really have to see how it all fits in. So this approach supports achieving goals, like eating the right foods for your body and preventing disease, but also living an inspired and fulfilling life.
I I have to tell you something. It just came to me. So before we went to record this, I had meditated, doing my 20 minutes of meditation, and I was thinking about food because we're going to be talking about food. So, thinking about all the different questions I have for you. And one thing I realized was that years ago, portion control was my problem. But as you just spoke about your whole life, overall, my life has been better in every area, and work has been more enjoyable, my personal life.
and my portion size has decreased
Mm.
when it comes to food. I haven't even thought about it just
Mhm.
till now. And so that's an example, I guess, of what you mean when it comes to the whole life approach and how that really.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. I mean, your portion size doesn't necessarily need to be less. There is a concept called volumetrics. It just depends what you're eating in what portions. So there are some things that you can eat enormous portions of, and they're real healthy for your body, and make you feel full and satisfied without feeling like, unwell. But yes, it is an awareness. But lots of times people don't have an awareness about what they're doing. They're kind of got a default mode, and we bring that focus on. But this, it's important to do with it in the concepts of some key concepts. So plates and their portions have a lot to do with it. So in integrative nutrition, it's really looking at a whole foods plant-based diet, and the proportions are a little different than we're used to seeing on the USDA plate. So it's kind of a plant slant, so that if people are consuming, animal products and things of that sort, it's a smaller portion generally. And one of the key things, of course, is having good hydration with water and balancing it out with good fats and things of that sort that will provide us a way to balance our blood sugar so that we feel full and we maintain great energy. But there are a couple other things that are really important to note when we are talking about food besides portion, which is really, really important, is the concept of bioindividuality, which is the idea that each of us has unique food and lifestyle needs. So one person's food can be another person's poison. We all know people with food sensitivities, food allergies. Some foods are deemed healthy, but they're just not healthy for them. So
Mm,
that's part of the process too, especially in a world today where there's so much food, processed and otherwise. It's really very confusing for people to really understand where true nutrition lies. So we work on that. We also work on, this is great about portion size, work on something called crowding out. So, like many nutrition experts give their clients a list of foods to avoid to eat. And that's why a lot of people, I think, are turned off by nutrition. It's always by this negation.
mm,
So in this approach, it's about what you get to have, not what you don't. So if we're looking at crowding out, what we do by introducing foods, new foods, or ones that maybe haven't really tried in a new way, we're able to eat and drink foods that are good for us, and you're naturally have less room and desire for unhealthy foods. So basically, like putting all the good stuff in, kind of crowding out the others. And this is a very subtle shift and change because, again, it's about what you get to have.
hmm
And it really makes it easy, especially when people are struggling with cravings. This is one of the wonderful ways to do what is the last key concept, which is to deconstruct cravings. Because cravings play a critical role in understanding what your body needs, and they really shouldn't be ignored. So when you learn how to deconstruct your cravings and understand what they're telling you, you're able to reclaim a greater sense of balance and harmony.
I love what you just said. Understand what your cravings are telling you. Because sometimes I am guilty of, well, I just need a burger from such and such place. That's what I'm craving. But what you're
Mhm.
saying, and this is something I go through in therapy, is it's not about that burger. It goes a little deeper than that.
Well, it
And
can. It can. There's lots of reasons why we have cravings, and I share those with my clients when we work together because it's important to understand there's lots of sources. Like, we just went through the holidays,
mhm,
right? And we have these associations. And lots of times that may drive our choices, even if they're really not the choices we want to make. So we
mm,
look at those things. We look at what people's experiences are, what their motivators. I mean, here it's winter. So in winter, we naturally crave, hot and oily kinds of foods because based on our long history as humans, that's what we do in winter to make sure that we have adequate energy. That was
uh,
usually, we didn't have like fancy heaters and things like that going on, but there are very good reasons, both biologically and socially, that we can have cravings. So it may also be that we're nutrient deficient. Well, our
mm,
body is looking for something and we're just not giving it that. But there are lots of ways to tap into our sensory experience to know that really what's going on.
I love talking to you about this, and this is definitely a conversation you and I have to continue long after this video here. And you know what's coming up for me when I've had the nutrition conversation before with a nutritionist,
Yeah.
it felt like the nutrition conversation. We got to measure this and count this and all that stuff. And talking with you, it's almost like I'm like more excited to eat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's my whole goal for everyone, to have what I like to call food freedom, where you really tap into your intuition. What do you really want to have? And to really have this wonderful experience of eating. You know, today our culture is so, on the go. Even when we're home, we're still got that, busy schedule, and sometimes we don't really take the time to either get some healthy food, prepare it, eat it, enjoy it. We're rushing a lot, and that actually has created part of the problems that people are having in modern life around food and lifestyle, is how to slow it all down just a little bit. And when we slow it down, we actually speed things up because we take the time and we do it in a more intentional way. And it's a better experience, both from just in the enjoyment, but also from the view of digestion when it comes to food. We eat too fast. If you don't get an upside stomach, what you're doing is basically missing the opportunity for your body to extract most of the nutrients. If we're not chewing well, if we're not taking some time, if we're not hydrating, if we're not doing a lot of those things, making it harder for our bodies to digest and assimilate those nutrients. So, important ways to change things. But again, to your point, it's always my goal with working with nutrition to make it easy and fun and sustainable, and without a lot of deprivation or denial, because those things all work for a very short period of time, but they're really not lifestyle change. That's the goal, is for you to be different without even remembering to be different. It's just simply what you do.
I love this, and we're gonna give people your contact information in a moment because they're going to want to contact you. And I encourage you to, if you're listening or watching this, definitely reach out to Jane. But let me ask you this, for people who are just going to watch this video and I don't know, just go on with their life after this, what is like one thing that you can suggest they start doing to be healthier this year?
Oh, that's so easy. So the first thing is to nourish yourself with water and stay hydrated.
Okay.
75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. So a survey of 3,003 Americans found that 75% had a net fluid loss, resulting in chronic dehydration. So why is this a problem? Well, first of all, they had about 8 drinks a day, but it was offset by drinking caffeinated beverages and alcoholic beverages and eating a diet and high in processed foods, which usually is sodium. So when you're thirsty, it means you're dehydrated. At that point, you're already on your way to dehydration. But the funny thing is that sometimes we think we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. Okay, so the one thing to do, obviously, if you're feeling hungry, is get yourself some water. If you need to eat, that's fine. Your body's calling for food, you should have food. But understand that dehydration causes fatigue. It causes foggy memory. It causes irritability. And in particular, when we can put stress on cognitive functioning. And in younger adults, we know that dehydration was linked to that dip in long-term memory. We're learning from home and things. And with children, you need a little more information. But it really can be the difference in also helping you to fight off infection. Ooh. So really, really key. Also, it boosts your metabolism. So if you're somebody who is looking to have better weight management, water is one of the key things that you can do. In almost every type of illness or disease, dehydration plays a part. If people are dehydrated, it makes it harder for their bodies to really, once again, to work as efficiently as they should. So that would be the number one thing I would tell people to pay attention to your hydration.
I love it. And just want to say quickly before we finish up here with that, one thing that I have said when it comes to my own mental health, I talk a lot about the different challenges I've had. And sometimes I've had to ask myself, is it depression or dehydration? Because lots of different emotions come up, as you said, irritability and things like that. So if you're struggling with anxiety and depression, hydrating is really important. So where can people learn more about you and sign up for a consultation with you? And how much is that? Please let us know.
Okay, well, I have a website. It's easy to remember because it's my name. So it's janekdye.com. And there I have a scheduler. I offer free initial consultation because what this is all about is helping people to really follow their curiosity about how healthy and happy they can be without denial and deprivation, and doing it in a fun and easy, sustainable way. So we have a great conversation. The goal of the initial consultation is just to help people to understand what is their next step in their journey in health and wellness. And I can guarantee you they're going to get some sort of insight or aha or awareness that they didn't have about themselves, or what the process could be, and what next steps they could take.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Jane.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Mike. This is always fun when we get a chance to talk. So I greatly appreciate being here with you today.
Now that you've learned about integrative nutrition, I encourage you to contact Jane to get a free consultation on your health. I put a link to her website in the description below. Thank you for taking a moment to watch this video. If you liked that video, please click that like button and share it with your friends. In the next video, we will be talking about health coach advantages and disadvantages, and I'll see you in the next video.